안녕하세요. 여러분의 한국어 선생님 고빌입니다. Back in 2020, I made a video that highlights 10 lesser-known YouTube channels for learning Korean, but a lot has changed since then, so I think it's time for an update. So today I want to introduce 15 more lesser-known channels that I think you should subscribe to. So here are the requirements. First, these are lesser-known YouTubers, and each channel has fewer than 10,000 subscribers. All of these YouTube channels are doing an amazing job, but are flying under the radar. And next, each channel must be active. So I only chose channels that have at least 25 videos, and shorts are not included. Also, at least one of those videos will be from the past 90 days since filming this video. And finally, I only chose channels that are focused on teaching Korean, channels that mainly upload Korean listening practice, as well as channels that focus on Korean culture didn't qualify. And the reason is, if I were to include channels only for listening practice, then technically I would have to consider every single YouTuber that speaks in Korean. However, for those of you who are a fan of Korean podcasts, I'll be making a separate video very soon where I recommend my favorite Korean learning podcasts. Coming soon. Okay, so from those requirements, I've handpicked 15 channels that I think are especially useful to learners. So here is my list. And these aren't in any order, so feel free to jump around using the timestamps. First up, we have Jinee Korea. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. She started her channel just over a year ago, and the target of this channel is for beginning learners. And she has basic alphabet lessons, videos about pronunciation, but what really makes her channel unique is that her videos don't feel like Korean lessons. In fact, they feel more like vlogs, but when you start watching, you'll realize that they're grammar lessons. She also has videos that aren't just for learning Korean, such as culture videos about things like traveling, food, and even dating culture. So if you'd like a learning channel that feels a bit more personal, like a vlog channel, then I definitely recommend checking out Jinee KR. Next is the channel WHATIS Korean, which also started last year. And this channel is for beginning learners as well as intermediate learners. And that's because what makes this channel unique is that it's all taught in Korean. So they have videos for beginners, such as lessons on the alphabet and pronunciation, as well as common expressions, vocabulary, and things like that. But they also have videos for intermediate learners like Hanja idiomatic expressions. And I really don't often find videos about that topic, as well as videos on Korean culture as it relates to the Korean language, which are also interesting to watch. And lots of videos with general tips for learning and speaking Korean. Also, their videos are really high quality, so I suspect that it's a company running the channel, but I don't see them advertising for anything yet, so it might just be someone who studied filmmaking. Got to do something with that film major. So that's why I give my recommendation to WHATIS Korean. Next is Cookie Korea. This is a newer channel, but it seems to be really active. And they're doing something that I haven't found any other channel doing yet, and that's making business Korean lessons. How cool is that? So she has lessons on office language and expressions that you'll use at the workplace. And all of these lessons are taught very straightforward and simply, so you actually don't need to be advanced level to start learning about this sort of business Korean. So if you're one of those beginners that wants to also learn some business Korean, this would be perfect. In fact, she also has a series called Bite-Sized Korean, which are really short lessons about various topics, so there's really something for everyone here. So if any of this sounds interesting, definitely check out Cookie Korea. My next recommendation goes to Korean Box. They've been around for several years and have plenty of content to show for it. For everyone from beginning level to intermediate level, but especially for intermediate learners who want more higher level lessons. They have intermediate level grammar lessons, but also lessons that are analyzing newspaper articles and lessons about Hanja idioms. Now for beginners, there's also a series of videos that compare common words to each other, words that are often confused, and they break those down really simply. Their videos are made kind of like slideshows, so it's really easy to take notes while watching them. So for all of those reasons, I'd also like to recommend Korean Box. Next, we have another channel that I wanted to recommend for a while now actually, and that's Gangnam Korea. This is a channel for beginning learners, and they have tons of basic lessons, especially a lot of basic grammar lessons as well as pronunciation videos. And I especially like her pronunciation videos because they're super useful if you're still learning the alphabet. And I know that I would have loved these back when I was a beginning learner. And she also has some culture videos, but they're not just general culture videos. She covers videos about current trends in Korea, which is really interesting to see what's currently going on there without having to be living in Korea. Now, I should note that she tends to film most of her videos vertically, which also makes them easy to watch on a phone, but they're not shorts, they're full videos. So I give one of my recommendations today to Gangnam Korea. Next, we have Now Korean Class, which is another unique channel that teaches in kind of a podcast style. So they're podcast style lessons for beginning learners. So she has videos about topics like culture, videos about Korean schools and manners, superstitions, and things like that. And she also has a lot of basic grammar lessons about things like conjugating verbs and sentence endings, as well as a lot of practice videos, each on a specific topic. And in those videos, she teaches grammar in Korean and gives examples of how they're used. Now, although this content is mainly for beginners, most of the videos are still taught in Korean, but she speaks really clearly, so you should be able to follow along, even if you're not quite at that level yet. So I'll also give one of my recommendations today to Now Korean Class. The next channel that I want to highlight is called Grace's Sooda, so Grace's Chit Chat. And this channel almost doesn't even qualify for this list because she's already close to 10,000 subscribers. Now, hopefully this video will help push her over that amount, but her content is aimed at beginning learners, and she has a lot of general videos on the essentials. So common Korean expressions, vocabulary words, as well as even Korean slang. She also has videos that cover Korean culture like holidays, travel, and common greetings, as well as lessons about things like the colors, how to tell the time, the family tree, basic grammar lessons like conjugating verbs and using numbers and things like that. All of those essential lessons that you're going to need anyway when you're working through the beginning level. So I give another one of my recommendations today to Grace's Sooda. Go check her out. Next up, we have the channel 한국어 배우기, Learning Korean. This channel is for all Korean levels actually, beginner, intermediate, and even advanced. Yes. Now this is really hard to find videos like these on YouTube, and all of these lessons are really clear. The speaking is clear and easy to understand. In fact, even if you're a beginner but you're watching an advanced level lesson, you're still going to be able to follow along because of how clear everything is presented. There are also some videos about TOPIK speaking questions. So if you're preparing to take the TOPIK, definitely check them out as well. So for these reasons, I also recommend 한국어 배우기, Learning Korean. Next, we have Tutorklang Korean podcast. It's kind of a long title, but now despite having the word podcast in the title, actually, they're not really a podcast. It's more like classroom style lessons. So if you want more of like a classroom, a long form style of video, then this is great. And while lots of their videos are targeted at beginners, such as like grammar, basic grammar expressions, lessons about idioms, teaching common vocabulary, they're also good for learners who are just trying to access the intermediate level. So kind of that range between beginner and intermediate, which I think can be tricky to climb up. So for all of these reasons, I'll add one of my recommendations to Tutorklang Korean podcast. I think I got it. Next, we have the channel KIMSAM. This channel is focused on grammar lessons for beginning and intermediate learners taught completely in Korean. But what makes it so unique is that not only are the lessons taught in Korean, but because the lessons are focused on example sentences using each grammar form. Not on the grammar forms themselves, but on the example sentences. And even if you're not able to understand all of the Korean, you can still follow along the entire lesson. So because of that, I'd say that it's useful for not only intermediate learners, but also even beginning learners. In addition, they also have some videos about the TOPIK, going over tips for how to take it, as well as test questions from previous year's tests. And everything is taught straightforward and clearly. In fact, I'm pretty sure that this teacher used to actually be a TOPIK teacher specializing in that, and they have a lot of experience teaching it. So KIMSAM gets one of my recommendations for today. Definitely check them out. Next up, we have Korean class and stories. Now, you might notice something from this channel right away. they're like me, a little bit. They're a non-native Korean teacher making videos here on YouTube. And this is really rare. In fact, if you follow any other channels like this, let me know in the comments below. Most of their lessons are for beginning learners. They have lessons with basic grammar explanations, topics like how to use numbers, how to conjugate verbs, some common verb endings, irregular verbs, and things like that. And they also have videos that are Korean stories, which come together with vocabulary explanations so you can follow along. So I'll give a recommendation to Korean class and stories, check them out too. Next up, we have teacher Jinee's Korean class. This channel is basically just grammar heaven. She has tons of grammar videos for both beginner and intermediate level. And everything's explained clearly and in order. I can tell that a lot of work went into making all of these lessons. And I think that her content is especially useful for learners who are trying to level up their Korean simply because of the large quantity of grammar lessons that she offers. So if you're an intermediate learner who's trying to crawl up to the advanced level, or someone who's maybe still a beginner but trying to reach the intermediate level, then I'll also recommend teacher Jinee's Korean class. Next up is 한국어 여정, Your Korean Journey. This channel is also for beginning and intermediate level learners and has a lot of grammar lessons. And I really like the style of their grammar videos because they're short and to the point. The way that they work is that they'll first introduce the grammar form simply and then provide lots of example sentences along with new vocabulary words to practice using that form. And I think this channel is especially useful for learners who already have a basic foundation and who want to reach further into the intermediate level. There are also some videos that just teach common vocabulary words if you're looking for that sort of content as well. So that's why I'll give a recommendation to 한국어 여정, Your Korean Journey. Next up is Korean classes with MK. This channel has a big focus on teaching grammar, but with a bit of a twist. First of all, everything's taught in Korean, and she has lessons that are aimed at both beginning and intermediate level learners. But what really makes this channel unique is that she also makes conversation example videos. And these are lessons where you learn Korean while listening to example conversations. And I think this sort of lesson is really useful when you want to start having real conversations on your own. The lessons are taught kind of like slideshows, but you also get to see her face, kind of like you're taking a class directly with a teacher. So because of these reasons, I also recommend Korean classes with MK. And last but definitely not least is 찍찍티비, Korean Squirrel. 찍찍 is the sound of a small rodent, such as a squirrel, making like a squeaking noise. This channel is for beginning learners, and she has a good variety of videos, starting with grammar lessons. She also makes lessons about common words and expressions for specific topics, such as country names or frequency words, as well as lessons about how to do simple things in Korean, such as how to ask someone's age, how to say thanks, and counting numbers. And for a bonus, she also has a few vlog-style videos about traveling in Korea. So I give my final recommendation of today to 찍찍티비, Korean Squirrel. And that's my list as it stands so far. Now, while I did my best to research for this video, I'm sure that I missed one or two channels at least. So please let me know in the comments below if I didn't include your favorite lesser known channel. And before we go, I want to give a special thank you to my Patreon supporters and channel members. It's thanks to you that I can keep teaching Korean as well as occasionally making videos just like this one. And if you would also like to help support this channel and more content like this, you can find links to my Patreon page as well as how to become a channel member right below this video. Thanks for watching. Remember to like this video and subscribe for more Korean learning content, and I'll see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.